What's up, college football fans and fanatics? That's right, man. We're in here for another episode of the Snap Count, the Saturday night Snap Count on the Fanatic Sports Network, man. Y'all already know how we do. We watch the last games as they wrapping up. We got Notre Dame and Texas A&M in the fourth quarter, getting it in, and we'll talk about today's games and the Thursday games and some Friday games, man. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, and just join us in talking about this thing. Let's get it started, man.
No, I got you on this one, Coach. It ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's right, man. Another episode of Saturday Night Snap Count. We're going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, man. We got a couple of games that we're going to focus on tonight. And we'll talk about, we'll mention all the other ones, man. But listen, we was talking backstage, man. And like Shawty said, we're going to bring him in here in a minute. Man, it's a lot of football to consume, but I'm here for it, man. College football is back. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him in. It's Shawty at that. Parker, what's going on, Shawty?
Coach I, what's going on? What's going on, boss?
Hey man, we here for it, dog. College football week 1 got the teaser last week, but this was one of the main courses this week.
Hey man, I'm telling you what, I'm on fumes, man. I've been watching so much football. Woof. Jeez. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for.
That's right, man. Be careful what you ask for, man. Bringing in, I got Jason from the Hall of Fame College Football. What's going on, Jason?
What's up, fellas? What's up? Think we got a cooked gator down in Gainesville, man. We got a professor in here already talking about it. Only thing that saves his job is to turn over the play calling. He must just hurt y'all's feelings.
Changing quarterback is the only thing to save his job.
Oh.
Well, that too. That's part of it.
Right. So let's go set the tone. It's our guy Jake Merrill. What's going on, Jake?
What's going on, man? I just got finished watching University of Alabama whoop some ass. It's a good time, man. We had a great time, and it's been a fun day. Like, there's been so much stuff. Yes, I was completely wrong about Florida. I'll admit it right now.
You too.
Hey, you ain't by yourself, Jake. Hey, we're gonna get into all of that, man. Let's bring in our guy from Talking Football with Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Is JJ Kitchen. What's going on, JJ?
I'll tell you what, Pitt got a dub today, but also to your guys' point, I'll tell you what, Miami beat Florida, but more importantly, Florida is who they thought they were. They let them off the hook. That's what the hell happened. I'll tell you what happened. There was some cooked gator down there. There was some good servings going on tonight.
That's right, man. We're gonna get into all of it, man. Let's bring in our guy from Sidelines Penn State. This is our guy Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
I'm away from my home, studio, but I think Penn State reinvented the forward pass because we decided to do that, and it showed. And we had an amazing game. And if our offense now matches our defense, we are scary.
There it is, man. Hey, Drew Allen did look a little better. You know what I'm saying, today. Let's just talk about some of the games, just briefly, some scores, man, for those that didn't keep up with college football. Listen, Shawty say he burned out. He on fumes, dog. I've been watching college football since Thursday, dog. Like, all in, no matter who's playing. UNC beat Minnesota 19-17 on Thursday. OU in Jackson Arnold's regular season debut, 51, Temple 3. Michigan State pulled out one over Florida Atlantic. Hey, I don't know what's going on in Michigan State, but they need to get some offense. 16-10. Wisconsin and Luke Fickell struggled with a Western Michigan team, 28-14. Him and Tyler Van Dyke got some things to figure out up there. And I know a lot of y'all didn't stay up late night last night, but TCU and Stanford was a thriller, 34-27 out of the West Coast. It didn't even start until 10:30 Eastern time, man. So let's see. Starting the day, hey, how about Iowa finding some offense, y'all? 40 points. It was Illinois State. We ain't gonna jump the gun, but 40 points nonetheless. JJ and his Pitt Panthers 55, Kent State 24. How about that? Shout out to JJ and the Pitt Panthers for getting the win. Oklahoma State and hey, listen, they snapped the 29-game win streak for the South Dakota State. I think they're the Jackrabbits or something like that. You know what I'm saying? 44-20. Ollie Gordon had 3 touchdowns. Texas blanks Colorado State 52-0. They got a chance to see Arch Manning today. 5 for 6, 95 yards and a TD. Fran Brown opening up with his debut at Syracuse, 38-22. Dylan Raiola, 40 for Nebraska. UTEP 7. Raiola was 19 for 27 for 238 and 2 tutties. He actually looked real comfortable out there. I will say that, man. The dude can definitely spin it. One of the G5 guys, you know what I'm saying, I think we all kind of think they may have a shot. Boise State, they take on Georgia Southern today in a barn burner, 56-45. No defense. Defense is optional. Stat guy should be in here soon, but South Carolina 23, Old Dominion 19. I want to point out that Lenore Sellis was 10 for 23 for 114. Not very good. His QBR was 17. They got to fix that down in Columbia, man.
Whoa.
God
Mississippi
damn.
State 56.
God damn.
I wanted to bring something up on that, man. I mean, Stat Guy keeps telling us that Beamer's safe. I don't know. I don't know how that could possibly be.
He is. It's a different culture, different cultures, different school. I can tell you for sure Beamer is not getting fired this year, regardless of what goes on.
Jesus.
I can tell you that. So, not saying it shouldn't be like that, but hey, Jeff Levy, 56 points in his debut against Eastern Kentucky. Oregon currently, like I got a score update from Shawty before we started the show. Oregon 17, Idaho 14. Is that still the case? And it's the fourth quarter, Shawty?
No, it's 24-14, Oregon.
There it is, 24-14 over Idaho currently in the fourth quarter. At the time I checked, Dylan Gabriel was 36 for 41 for 327, but only 1 TD. So that sounds like he's doing a lot of moving between the 20s, not a lot in the red zone. Michigan, last I checked, if somebody can update if it's different, they had 16. Fresno State had 3, and that was in the fourth quarter. All right, man, we're going to go quickly around the horn and give us one take from today, regardless of the game, and then we'll get into the games that we're going to focus on. Shawty, starting with you, man, give us a take from today. Or this from Thursday to today, give us a take.
Well, I want to say, hey, man, Vanderbilt won. They beat Vitek, who I think all of us thought Vitek was somewhat of a sleeper team in the ACC. And for Vandy to do what they did, shout out to Vanderbilt, man.
There it is, man. Shout out to Vandy for getting the win. Jake, Thursday to currently on Saturday night, man, give us a take on what you done seen.
This might be somewhat biased, but Bama's not done. Put it that way. Bama's not done.
I like it.
Same throne, different dragon. Boom. Just say, hey, Bama's not done, everybody.
JJ, what about you, man? Thursday to Saturday has been a lot of football, my guy.
I'll tell you what it means. Football is finally back, and we're seeing some real live matchups. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't all blowouts. There was a lot of tight games that you would never would have thought, whether it were close games, whether it was Virginia Tech and Vanderbilt or Colorado and North Dakota State. Doesn't matter. It was a hell of a football weekend. And that's what you expect out of college football.
That's right. Andrew, Penn State got the win. What else you take from this Thursday to now, my guy?
Outside of that, I can't believe how much TCU has fallen from in the national playoff game to down to Stanford. It is such a meteoric drop.
We do that.
Like, good for Stanford. You know,
it's called that Georgia hangover, right?
The Georgia effect.
Oh my God, that's a hangover that's lasted for 2.5 years, man. So, you know.
Oh man, let's say what's up to the people, man. Mike Dub is in the building, man. What's going on, Mike Dub? We appreciate you getting in.
Coach
Shit, that's my bad.
Man, the whole damn
that's
thing.
my bad, dog.
Oh man, Jason.
Hey, way to call me out, dog. I appreciate it. That's my bad. Give us a take, dog, from Thursday to today. What you got on it, my guy?
Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and say something about your dogs because of Clemson. Because this morning I told you on your show that it was probably gonna be somewhere around 35-10.
You did.
Clemson wasn't that damn good. Clemson wasn't that damn good. And everybody keeps telling me how great they are. And I get it. Georgia's got a great defense. But their offense is god-awful. And I'm tired of seeing everybody talk about their quarterback situation when It kind of feels like their offense is just pretty antiquated at this point. They've got talent everywhere.
Right.
I'm not understanding this, and I still say Clemson is on the way down.
There it is. Hey, you and Stat got both. So
Containers.
shout out to Mike Dub for being in the building. The professor. Hey man, it's a rough day for them Gators, my guy. Steve B says Oregon is struggling. That is right. Boomer 129 says Daho came to play. Daho.
That whole thing came to play, I think.
Oh, that hoe. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he talking about that hoe.
Oh,
I got you. Sean D in the building. We appreciate you getting in, my guy. Chris E said, where is cuz I told WVU isn't Penn State League. It will be a blowout. Coos. Oh, Coos ain't on this show. This is the wrong show, Chris E. But hey, we got your point for sure. We appreciate you getting in, my guy. Stink Ass Cat is in the building. We appreciate you, Stink Ass Cat, for getting in here. Cindy Case, what's going on? Said, well, it started, and man, there were definitely some surprises, but there's definitely a lot of football left. Definitely going to be an exciting season. By the way, hello, we appreciate you getting in. Mars Jam. I know. Mars Jam. All right, Mars Jam, appreciate you getting in here, man. Who else is in the building, man? Let's see. Wallace. My guy Wallace said, what's going on, fam? And go Dogs. That's right. Go Dogs. We appreciate it. Kimberly Kate in the building. What's going on? She said, good evening, gentlemen. And Red Shoe says, Coach Prime start off with the dub. Still need a running game and a pass rush. Good call.
And a whole defense.
We will talk about that. That's matter of fact. We will talk about that.
And a whole defense, by the way.
True, JJ.
Right. We need all of that, right, JJ? So let's go ahead and get into these games, man. Let's start with Thursday, man. We start with Western Carolina giving North Carolina State all they wanted, gentlemen. Shawty, I know you was up watching that. Me and you was kind of texting back and forth. Give me your thoughts on that. Hey, the score of 38-21 ain't what the game said. You know what I'm saying? If you was actually watching.
This is one thing I would say, and this is something that I saw that just stood out to me. North Carolina State has some of the best skill position players in the country. They might have the best tight end in the country.
I believe it.
So with that being said, North Carolina State going to be able to score a lot of points. I expected them to beat up on Western Carolina. One thing I didn't expect was them to give up that many points. They got some things they got to work on defense. But like we all know, North Carolina State going to win probably generally 8, 9, 10 games this year. But I think they may be closer to 10 with the skill position set they have this year.
That's a good call. I was watching that game thinking the same thing. I really liked, I think his name is Foley, the tight end. Even though I want to say it was like a turnover, he chased the guy down and saved the touchdown.
Did you see the athleticism?
Bruh, like for real. JJ, did you get to see that Western Carolina or any of that or some highlights?
I did. And the reason why I did is because at Pitt, obviously, Kerwin Bell's son, who's the head coach at Western Carolina, Cade Bell, is now the offensive coordinator at University of Pittsburgh. And watching that game, it was a lot tighter than what people would think. Obviously, it broke away towards the end. I would say probably towards the fourth quarter. But overall, it was a close game. And I'll tell you what, I'm with Shawty, man. I'll tell you what, NC State, they got a lot of players, man. And it came into this season with a bunch of teams and a bunch of guys that are really athletic, really durable, guys who can play at a high level. You started to see it towards the fourth quarter, and it's that, whether it's week one jitters or week one statistics, it didn't matter what it was. They broke away towards the fourth quarter, but overall, man, that was a hell of a football game. And shout out to Western Carolina, a bunch of those guys down there. They do a really good job. Kerwin Bell's a hell of a football coach down at Western Carolina. Obviously, Kerwin was a hell of a football player, quarterback at Florida back in the day, and the Indianapolis Colts in the NFL. I'll tell you what, there was a good football game, but overall, it was good to see NC State start to really pull away towards the end of the game. But overall, I'm with Shawty, man. That's a really good football team where I think that game one film will be really good for them to look overall and to make those adjustments, and they'll be a really good football team down the stretch.
Hey, fire comments, man. That's why we got JJ on the show. I bet none of y'all knew who Western Carolina's coach is, but JJ got that info for you. Listen, man, I'm agreeing with them, man. NC State got some players. I think we might have saw a little bit of look ahead because they got Tennessee down, you know what I'm saying, right here coming up. So maybe it was a look ahead. Jason, I know you caught some of that game, man. What'd you see from NC State and Western Carolina?
I like when NC State. I was saying before the year that I liked them a lot, and like Shawty said, I think they may have the best tight end in the country without a doubt. I love their quarterback situation. The guy, what's his name that came in from
Grayson McCall.
Grayson
yeah,
McCall.
McCall.
Yep. Well, he's a winner. Straight
Dude,
winner.
he's just
From Coastal Carolina.
when you come in there and you've won a bunch of games, it's not really that big of a deal for you to come in and win some more. In the ACC, I think that you have an opportunity to go in and play for a championship. I think that, like I said earlier, Clemson's down. We know that Florida State doesn't look very good right now. And look, yeah, Miami went into the swamp and won today. But and I think that they talent-wise, they showed that they probably have the best team in the ACC. But we also know who their coach is, and if it gets into a tight game, you can tend to believe that Mario Cristobal is going to pull it.
Kneel down and praise God, Jason. Kneel down and praise God.
Right. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We're for sure going to talk about the Miami game a little bit later. But the NC State, Western Carolina, Jake, did you catch any of that?
Yeah, and it was interesting because I love what you guys had all said regarding the talent that NC State has on the offensive side of the ball. That's where it's at for me. Is the offensive side of the ball. We also know that defense wins championships, and we know that in order to be successful throughout the season, you're going to need something in the trenches. They do have it on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, they do not. And I think for me, that's what stood out. The fact that you even have to come back in a game like that. Now, I don't want to take away the credit, from Western Carolina, but at the same time, NC State, with the talent that you have, you shouldn't be in a position like that in game one, right? I mean, yes, okay, it is game one, but to have to come back, man, like what do you got to do to fix some things defensively? Can you do it? Do you have the depth to do it? That's going to be a big question because you do play. You go further into that season, you play somebody like Miami, they will smoke you from what we've seen today. So that is something to think about as we kind of progress through. But great game, fun game to watch for being, kind of one of those opening, like you don't expect it to be good, but it was, so right. It was interesting. It showed us a lot of things, and it'll be interesting to see how NC State responds going forward.
Right. Andrew, so with all of what the panel has said, man, what's your thoughts on NC State? Was it NC State looking ahead to kind of like a Tennessee, or you think NC State might just be one of those teams that's middle of the road?
I think that week one, regardless of the team, is always going to be tough because there's always expectations or limitations on any single team. And as we've seen through week one, that ACC is pretty wide open outside of Miami. And maybe they falter, maybe they don't. But NC State has already been, kind of battle tested. And they showed up and they won and they came back. I'm not saying that they're going to go out there and win the league, but I think they showed a good amount of grit. And I think they relied on that offense, maybe a little bit too much, too early. But you know what? Defense will gel week 3, week 4, week 5 sort of thing. And I think the Wolfpack, they're probably looking at a pretty favorable season this year. So I have nothing but positives for that. But also, shout out to the Catamounts. They gave them everything they could, to get. And the only reason I know the Catamounts, my sister-in-law graduated from there. So,
I'm with you with that, Andrew. My best friend and my best friend and brother, man. Shout out to Mazio Bennett Sr., who played at Western Carolina. They gave him 39 playing at the safety spot, and I was clowning them hard.
Halloween, what up? Halloween.
But shout out to my guys. Hey, man, y'all watching the Saturday Night Snap Count, man. Y'all make sure to follow all these guys on their channel. You got JJ Kitchens at Talking College Football with JJ Kitchens. Shawty at Just My Damn Opinion, Shawty Parker 758. Y'all already know where to find me in the Stat Guy, man. Andrew is on Twitter, man. Y'all get at him, man. SSN_Penn State. That's Sideline Sports Network _Penn State. And then it's Coach Jay Murray. Y'all already know Jake. You know what I'm saying? Set the Tone College Football. And then Jason over at Hall of Fame College Football, man. CFB pod. And I guess Brinsky's an honorary member because Brinsky never wants to really join us. So at the Sharpshooters pod or something like that. But shout out to our guy Brinsky, man. But we'll move on to this next game, man. I'm gonna let you check this one, Jason. Hey, Colorado, North Dakota State, one of the best games this weekend by far.
It was a good game, man. It was a good game. I don't know, man. You just seeing Colorado being in close games with teams that they probably shouldn't be. But I think that North Dakota State was really good. I think that they were really good. But in the end, man, this is kind of one of those games. If you expect to go out and be able to beat up on Nebraska next week in their place, and we saw that they looked pretty good with Dylan Raiola today. Nebraska did. So I would say that probably need to play a little bit better. I think there's some things that you're seeing that I don't know. I've been saying it a lot from the start that I don't like the way they do it with just portal. They're not bringing anything that they're having to develop. I know this is not what any Colorado fans, Chrissy's in here about to just go crazy. But I think that at some point you're going to have to get in here and develop some talent. But I will say this, Travis Hunter might be the best player in America, and I don't know that it's that close.
I definitely agree. He's definitely up there, and I wouldn't be mad if somebody made that case. I think it's a case where he's not the best DB, he's not the best receiver, but you're right, he is the best player because he can do both at an elite level. So, yeah. Shouty, Colorado, North Dakota State, dog, we definitely was texting back and forth during this one.
Just on the quick Travis Hunter thing. Remember I told you this, Jason. The kid is a more natural, better receiver than he is a DB.
You have been saying that.
He just has a better DB body because of his length. But naturally, he's a better receiver. But with that being said, in terms of the game, just for me watching Colorado last year and this year, their team looks different. They look bigger. Their bodies look bigger. They look more athletic. But the thing that kills me, even though they look different, they still play the same. They call the game like they playing a 7-on-7 tournament. I don't understand this offensive coordinator. You have to be able to run the ball to end the game, and you can't even do that. That would kill you against a very good team. All right. So with that being said, I think Colorado going to be Colorado once again. I give them 6 wins.
6 wins. Okay. Andrew, did you catch that Colorado North Dakota State Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, credit to Dion because we're talking about Colorado football, a team in the past 5 years that was completely irrelevant.
10.
And whatever they do or don't do, they're going to be at first at hand. Travis Hunter, probably the best player. And that last touchdown grab, insane. But they still don't have a defense. The offensive line still gets, bodied up. And I think they're going to be in a dogfight with Nebraska next week. But, credit to North Dakota State. They were 3 yards away from winning that thing. They caught that Hail Mary. It's just the fact that their quarterback can't throw 57 yards instead of 54 yards. But hell, if you saw the front page on ESPN the next day, it's like if Colorado won the national championship.
Yeah.
They have eyeballs. They have interest. They have celebrities. They have sold out stadiums. And I like that simply because that team was irrelevant 4 years ago. And I'm glad that a superpower in the 90s has come back into prevalence, and Coach Prime has done that.
That's right. They definitely are on everybody's radar one way or the other, whether you don't like them, whatever it is. JJ, man, your thoughts on Colorado? Like Shawty said, they kind of look the same, just in different bodies.
I'll tell you what, it's getting to be a trend tonight. Me and Shawty are on the same page right now tonight, and I'm going to go in a little bit more, and even Andrew. I can tell you this. It is the same exact team of what we saw last year, but I will say this. People are talking about Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's not the best football player on that team. It's Shedeur Sanders. And I'll tell you what, that kid's a tough son of a bitch. I'll tell you that. That kid took a lot of hits last night from that offensive line. I can tell you this. Their offensive line play is still mediocre. They can't hold up on an offensive line, and their defense is absolutely horrendous. But just on a different level of numbers here. Okay, first off, I get North Dakota State. It's an FCS team. They should have blown this team out. It should have never been a ball game. And even to the last portion of that game, if we're being realistic, there's a couple penalties that were missed out on Colorado that probably helped them out to win that football game at the end of the game. But overall, Shedeur Sanders, 26 of 34, 445. 4 tutties, 1 interception. That's a hell of a ball game. I don't care who you're facing. So that should be number one. But the problem, what Shoddy brought up, let's be honest here. Dallin Hayden, 9 carries, 20 yards rushing. Shedeur Sanders was the second leading rusher with 6 carries, 17 yards rushing. That's
Shit, that may be
horrendous.
more carries than he had all of last year, though.
And it's horrible. That's horrible. I got news for you. Colorado will not beat Nebraska next week.
Oh, no,
Good
they're
luck.
not beating Nebraska. There ain't no damn way.
There's no way they're beating Nebraska.
You got some people calling they shots.
And guess what? I'm looking at this team overall. You know what? I understand that shot plays, everything else that they do. I'm very confused on what they're doing in terms of an offensive scheme. I understand, hey, they took advantage of a North Dakota State team, an FCS team who clearly didn't have the talent, but more important, the speed, especially on the outside. But the fact that they couldn't even establish the run game, I don't care if it's in the NFL or in college football. You have to establish the run game. And the fact that they ran for 59 total yards overall is an absolute joke. That's not good. So while Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, is the best football player on that team, the one thing that has stayed the same, they're soft up front on both sides of the football. They're getting pushed around. They're getting bullied like at a schoolyard. These guys need to figure out if they want to be there, if they don't want to be there. And I think the one thing that was very clear, when you look at this football team, they got lucky that North Dakota State made a couple mistakes down the road. But more importantly, you looked in the fourth quarter, that last drive, let's be honest, Colorado got a little bit of a push there. And to Andrew's point, it was almost like Colorado won a national championship when they beat North Dakota State. I got news for you. They're going to have a real issue, and I think six wins is very generous to the Big 12, and that you still have Nebraska left. They're not going to beat Nebraska. I have news for you. If there's anybody out there that will really capitalize on this team, it's Matt Rule. Matt Rule took a loss last year. It will not happen again this year. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you right now
that
that
the quarterback
going to be
could
beautiful.
actually throw the ball last year, and they
Hey, JJ, who do you think is going to get drafted first, Shedeur or Travis Hunter?
I'm going Shedeur.
Right. Shout out to Steve
And
B
then
for the
Travis
update,
Hunter,
man.
wide receiver?
Yeah, literally.
Shout out to Shedeur. Hey, shout out to Steve B, man. Notre Dame driving with 2 minutes left, 13-13. Listen, man, this is a close game. Good stuff on Colorado, JJ. That's what I told you, man. JJ be bringing the fire. Jake, man, put a bow on that Colorado Notre Dame North Dakota State game, man.
Yeah, man. I think here's the deal. Like we saw, you guys all summarized it really, really well. JJ, I think you definitely took that into the depth that needed to be. One thing I will say, right, is NDSU is a defensive team. They've won their championships based on their defenses, right? Their defenses are phenomenal. There's a, yes, if they had the speed, they would have actually beat Colorado. We all know that. We knew that it was a speed game, and that's the only reason why NDSU honestly lost. Colorado has the weapons there. I should say in the passing game, they have the weapons there in the passing game. Running game, non-existent. I don't know what they're going to do this season, especially when your offensive line is still broken, right? An offensive line has to work as one chain. And if you have a weak link, and if you have multiple weak links, it's going to stay broken until you repair it with some legit depth. That means you got to actually recruit and get guys in there who believe in what you're doing, right? You can't just kind of piece it together and think everything's going to be good. So the thing that it comes down to for Colorado this season is that you escape with a win. Yes, Deion is not happy, right? We all know the expectations were not met. He said it himself in the post-game interview. It was a hollow win. It didn't even feel like we won because we played that bad. Can they now come back, right, and say we're going to face Nebraska? Nebraska is in payback mode after what they pulled last year at Nebraska, especially after what Shedeur did last year. If you don't think Matt Rule is sitting there pumping the team. Like this, that Nebraska game's over. Like those guys, it wasn't even a 24-hour rule. They walked that locker room and said, "We have Colorado next week. Here's what's going to happen. We are gonna demolish them. We are gonna kill their spirit for the season. That is going to be the goal of Nebraska. So you better figure out a way real quick to get your team on board and get down to a point where you guys are focused and get over your egos, because there's a lot of egos on that team, and that is what is holding that team back. So,
and I will say this too, to your point, Jake, right there. How many dumb penalties between Sanders himself and the defensive backs? The amount of penalties that they took. I mean, we're just blatant stupidity. I mean, to the point where it's not even about a team anymore. It's about individually. And I think that's why I think you look at this team overall, just watching the game, it was frustrating because you were watching Colorado's offense dominate to a certain extent. And then just on the defensive side of the football, they'd fall apart. And then Colorado's offense would punt 2 or 3 times in a row. They're arguing the sideline. It's just, there's too much egos going on. And the fact that Sanders, especially too, the late hits, the common penalties, lining up off sides on defense. I mean, it's just blatant stupidity over and over and over again. And it's to Shotty's point. It's the same exact team as last year. What has changed between last year to this year? Nothing.
More stars on the sideline.
Yeah,
that's right. You know how you lose.
Better left tackle, I guess.
Yeah,
but
maybe
right.
You know how you lose though. You lose early on is you lose with egos and no discipline. Yeah, that is exactly what they have right now. They have to fix that formula real fast.
Like everyone is flocking to the Michigan-Texas game next week. Obviously, that's huge. But like the Nebraska-Colorado, a old school hate kind of rivalry.
Huge.
Amen.
I mean, like that is just as much of a pinnacle, because if Nebraska wins, they're on the trajectory of reinventing themselves. And if Colorado wins, they are on their trajectory of going to the bowl game for the first time in X amount of years.
Yep.
It's a pinnacle game. Michigan and Texas are probably going to both make the playoff at the end of the day. But Nebraska versus Colorado, I would go there.
What'd you say, Shawty?
I don't know about Michigan, the way they play. I don't know.
That's why they play the game, man. That's why they play the game.
That's
true fact. All right, so Chris E, hey man, we appreciate our guy Chris E, man. Definitely staying low. Said only had 30 yards of penalty, 1 on Shiloh defensive offside. No team
he could have gotten 3.
Any penalty. All right.
Shiloh was doing some shit all day.
Earlier, Chris E said, you know what I'm saying, that Travis was getting held. He definitely was getting held on that touchdown. But I will say, Chris E, if you go back and watch the game, Travis did his own share of holding.
Plenty of holding on.
Come on, man. As a head coach, like anytime my player does something like that, especially more than once, you got to pull the kid off the field. Not one time do you pull the kid off the field to the sideline and you coach him. Those are coachable moments. Even if you ain't coaching, you got to act like and make it look like you coached on TV. Pull the kid to the sideline and coach him up. And then it lives long as your son. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. I don't think we've seen a lot of that. Like I said, I actually think Colorado has more than 4 or 5 guys. I think they have talent. Levante Bentley on defense is a good guy. Last year, Trevor Woods, I think he played better at safety, but the need for linebacker play, they put some muscle on and moved him down. I don't know how good of that move was, but I think they got some guys, dog. Me personally, I don't believe in the staff as a whole when it comes to in-game coaching. Yeah. And I haven't seen that in 2 years, but we'll see what they look like against Nebraska. I'm with some of you guys. I think it's definitely not going to look like last year. Matt Rule's got a guy that can spin the ball, and he'll be playing at home. I know he's a true freshman, but he'll be playing at home. Mm-hmm. It's different than playing on the road. Now, we know Shedeur and Travis is going to do their thing. We'll see what they can do. I got to sit down and really look at Nebraska to see if they got weapons and things of that nature. But hey,
Memorial Stadium is a very lost in the sauce, amazing home field advantage. It just hasn't been a home field advantage in 25 years.
Facts.
You know what else curse Colorado suffers from too? It's kind of a problem that they created themselves. Their defense practice against a team that can only throw the ball every day.
Yeah.
So that's why they can't stop nobody when it comes
Yeah.
time for the game.
Tell
Because
them.
they don't get a
Tell
good,
'em.
they don't get a good
Tell 'em.
look. Good call, Shawty. They don't get a good look. We always talk about that when you got a good defense. You know, these good defenses playing against offenses in practice, you get to see a good defense, and then if you vice versa, if you got a good offense on the other side, you get to see that, and that's a good call, Shawty. Colorado doesn't really get to see a run game, so. If Nebraska, again, I haven't watched it in full. If Nebraska has a good run game, then, and Jason, you say you caught some of it. They got a pretty decent. Dang, that's gonna.
They
be
got a run game. They got a good defense, which we already knew that from last year. They played good defense. They didn't have a way to move the football whatsoever last year. Their quarterback was shot putting the shit out there. You know what I mean? So they've got a guy that's whether he's a freshman or not, he's got real arm talent. I think CU's in deep trouble, man. And plus, you got to go to Lincoln to play.
Yeah,
that's
when
what
they're
I'm looking
happy
at.
about. I mean, they're always
Right. When's the
there
last?
anyway,
Right, but
they're happy about
no. But that's right, Jason. When's the last time they were actually happy about their football team? You know what I'm saying?
Really?
So, hey, man. But they started the week off. Hey, North Carolina State and Colorado started the week off with a bang. Today, the Dogs started the day off with a bang, beating Clemson 34-3. Listen, man, we're just gonna go do a little roundtable discussion, man. So, hey, man, whoever wants to, me and Shawty will do cleanup on this one because we're gonna deep dive into it on Tuesday night. But we're gonna let y'all go ahead, man. Anybody can jump in there, man. Y'all say what y'all seen, what y'all think about today's performance.
Be honest.
I
you
will
what.
tell you
Georgia
right
good,
now.
Clemson bad.
Yeah,
I think there's plenty. Yeah, go ahead.
Clemson has whiffed on 2 straight 5-star quarterbacks with DJU and Cade Klubnik. They both look average at best. Clemson couldn't move the ball. Georgia's defense was everywhere. You set the tone. And I thought when there was the pass to the right-hand side when you were up 13-0, that was an insurmountable score. Like, no one thought that Clemson could come back from 13-0. I thought you guys laid the wood and you made a statement. Y'all guys are scary as hell.
Bro.
I can tell you this from a level of just watching the football game. One, they were lucky in the beginning to keep it somewhat close, but overall, Georgia played a hell of a football game. You look at Carson Beck, 23 of 33, 278 yards, 2 tutties, no interceptions. Overall, and again, we get back to the rushing game. Being able to run the football, 169 yards total rushing compared to Clemson at 46 yards rushing. Well, to Andrew's point, it was almost 13-0. There was no way they were coming back. I think really what we saw today, for me personally, I had this as a loss anyways for Clemson, but I think what you saw today is just the difference between Clemson, Georgia, but Georgia versus everybody else. I think Georgia's in a class of its own. I know coaches that are currently on that staff. I know how they practice. I know how they conduct their practices and what they do on a day-to-day basis. I know how they do film study. These guys are at a certain level, and they created a culture that's just second to none. That's why they beat the hell out of Florida State last year, why they weren't in the college football playoff. It's an understanding of what they need to do to be successful on a day in and day out basis. You look at the overall talent level, how they buy into what they're doing, especially too, it doesn't matter who they're playing. They could be playing Vanderbilt, Clemson, Alabama. It's the same exact opponent for all of them. It doesn't matter. That's why I like Kirby Smart. I think he does it a certain way. He's got his own culture, how he does things on the field. Off the field may have a little bit of a different issue there, but overall, you look at Georgia. I don't know how you don't look at Georgia right now as the overall front runner, and I think it's a clear number 1 team in the country, and there's not a clear second. I think Georgia is in a class of its own, and how Kirby runs his team is completely different than anybody else around the country, and there's no questions asked right now.
Shout out to Ryman Lemon for getting in there. We appreciate you, my guy. I know you probably got a caller tonight. We appreciate you stopping in and get a thumbs up. Y'all go.
Appreciate you,
my
bro.
bad.
Oh,
Go ahead, Jake. I know you was about to say something.
Yeah, man. It's funny because there's so, I know maybe not everybody had these questions, but there's questions that I wanted to have answered from Georgia that I felt like were fair. Number one, was the running game going to be there with their two big backs out, or who can consider big backs. What was Frazier going to do as a true freshman? Frazier showed up and said, "Hey, I'm the dude." Put it that
That's
way.
their number
I'm
one
the
guy.
dude.
Ask me after today, bro.
Well, I think everybody feels that way right now. I mean, but I will say Etienne's going to add a whole new, I guess, dynamic to it, right? But here's the next part of that is also, what was Carson Wentz? Who was his targets going to be? Could Carson Wentz get away and break away from Carson Beck? I'm so sorry. I'm thinking of NDSU. We just talked NDSU. My bad. But Carson Beck, so my bad. But with Carson Beck, like, who is his targets going to be? Ladd McConkey was gone, right? And the biggest thing is Bowers is gone. So who was it going to be? Who was going to step into those roles, and were those roles going to be filled easily, or was there going to be a struggle? They were filled pretty smoothly. If you ask me, Beck looked very good. He looked very good. He looked on point. He was fine spraying the ball around. He wasn't looking just for one or two. He was okay with the targets he had in the field, no matter what they put on the field. That was I think that was a different dynamic than what I've seen before with Bobo's offense, right? That was something that I didn't necessarily expect. And so I think for me, just on the offensive side alone, I said, okay, like they are moving the needle forward, right? They're sticking with what they do. At the same time, they're evolving. The next part of that was the defense going to have what it needed on the line, right, to be the Georgia defense that everyone knows. Big question. They answered that question today with a statement. Okay. And I think this year, what you are going to see with championship teams is, do they have a D line with depth that can bring the pressure, so that way their secondary and their back seven make plays? Exactly what we saw today by Georgia. And so I think you guys are both right. And JJ, you hit on the point, is like, Georgia proved they are clearly that number one team. Someone is going to have to knock them off of that throne. And that is
a boxing
fair
match, man.
Make.
Well,
I mean, 100.
It's not a box,
like, it's
an
going to
entire
be.
building.
I mean, 100. Like, it is. I thought Clemson, defensively, like, Clemson played a great defensive game for the most part. I guess at the beginning. Okay. But then you definitely saw the adjustments that Kirby is famous for doing in the second half. And that's when you saw the pull away. Right. And it just killed the spirit of Clemson. I don't know what Clemson's going to be able to do going forward.
Okay.
Against Texas Tech.
Score
Against
update.
Texas
Ben G says Abilene Christian is going for the win against Texas Tech. Is that right, Ben G?
What?
They about to bitch slap Joey McGuire with a tortilla.
Easy. And it went bad. Texas Tech escapes. Pulled it out.
ND1.
Be like that. I know you want to get in on that Georgia Clemson.
Anyways, though, I do want to get on Georgia Clemson though, and just to kind of piggyback off of what Jake said, I think that Clemson's defense is good enough for anything they want to do. It's good enough for anything they want to do. It was 6-0 at the half.
Yeah,
as much you had times throughout that first half that Georgia was able to run the football. They were really trying to establish everything up the middle, though. As soon as they hit the edges, that was it. But I also felt like they let them down on offense so many times. I think I was looking at what the first half time of possession was really not that close, and I want to make sure I have it right before I say this, but. Yeah, man. Georgia had it for more than 8 more minutes more than they did in the first half. That just goes to show you, once the second half got around and they found something that was working, there got to be a point where Clemson not being able to stay on the field. There was a bunch of 3-and-outs. When that starts happening, it's a bad deal, because you're not going to keep up forever. And then once you know how it is with Todd Monken did call a very and I think it was our boy over here, Sean D was saying it earlier. He called a great game today. He called a great game. When he found something that worked, he just kept hitting the button. Let's keep going with that. Go with that. He knew what he needed to do to wear him down. I think that on the defensive front, Clemson had plenty to compete. But to me, and you and I were talking about this earlier, Coach I. You're talking about whether or not Cade Klubnik is that guy or he's a playmaker or no. Look, I saw Riley get more out of Max Duggan. And for 3-4 years before that, Max Duggan was a dumpster fire. Trash. Straight trash. So Dabo needs to get the hell out of the way. Get the hell out of the way, because at this point it looks to me like the kid is just, he has zero confidence. I told you that earlier. I think he has zero confidence. They've got playmakers. You got to let him go out and do what he needs to do with this game plan. It looks like how they did back in 2016 when they won their first natty. The offenses are not the same anymore, and he refuses to do anything that is, if it has to do with evolving. Dabo isn't doing it. He don't want to deal with the portal. He doesn't want to pay anybody. He don't want to change his offense. It's the Clemson offense. You got one of the best freaking coordinators in the country, and you don't want to let him do anything. You're getting number 1 overall quarterbacks in the country. You've had 2 of them, and now they suck. Well, maybe they do at this point, but it's probably because you haven't really helped them to move forward and to be different. I have a hard time with believing that Clemson's going to do anything, and it's not because they don't have the talent to do it. It's because they're not going to play offense, man. They're not going to play offense. Get them into that game against North Carolina State.
By the way,
they're screwed.
Right. So I got JJ got to get up out of here, man.
Sorry,
His little
JJ.
brother is pitching tonight for the Indians.
Awesome.
Shout out to Young Kitchens, man, for being in the
AK.
MLB,
Yeah.
making it, man. JJ, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you before you get up out of here, man.
Yeah, find me at Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I always love coming on here, but it's crazy. Austin's about to jump into the game for the Miami Marlins against the San Francisco Giants. The game started at 10 o'clock. It's been a crazy night. Also, too, the amount of traveling I've been doing the last 2 months has been just bewilderment, to say the least. It's almost like I know the West Coast more than the East Coast anymore at this point. I can tell you this, though. Follow each and every one of these guys, the fans who follow this show. You guys truly make this show great. You guys ask great questions, but more importantly, follow each and every one of these people. They're incredible people. It's fun to jump onto this every single day. Coach I, you're the best brother. I appreciate it as always. Each and every one of you, Jake, Jason, Shoddy, Andrew, everybody, man. You guys are incredible. Thank you guys so much. Follow these guys. And as always, be safe out there. Have fun. And guess what? College football's back, baby.
Yeah,
See you guys
baby.
next
That's
time.
right, man.
Love you, JJ.
We'll see JJ
Good luck,
next
buddy.
week, man. Hey, man, shout out to Young
Yeah.
Kitchens, man. Hey, man, that's big
Oh,
time, man. Big
Austin
time.
AK Kitchens, man. He's
That's
a bad
right.
little
That's
dude,
right,
man.
man. So, hey, man, y'all all said some good stuff, man, about this game today. Shawty, you got anything you want to add to that?
Like you said, I won't say much because we have a show Tuesday on Respected Hedges where we're gonna go a lot more in depth to this. So I don't want to shoot my wall early. So what I will say is what I will say is this right here too, just to kind of piggyback off a few things that some of the guys on the panel have already said. Dabo, that little quote that you said about the reason you don't go into the portal because the kids in the portal are not good enough to play for you. Well, a lot of those guys that Georgia had today that helped score 30, that beat you by 30 plus points, we got a lot of those guys out the portal. So you may want to go ahead and evolve with that. Something that I think Jake said in the show, and I tell people this all the time, no matter how good you are or think you are, when you want to find out where your program is at, put Georgia on the schedule. And we're going to be that barometer. We're going to let you know exactly how far from the top or an elite program that you really are. And back to what kind of Jake was saying, our coach showed you at the second half, man, we wanted to, he's one of the best in the game, I said, in a long time in making second half adjustments. I mean, we have won many, many games just based off of second half adjustments. And with that being said, once again, I won't go into too much more depth. Happy for the win, a 30-point victory over a top 15 team. Let's go Dogs, man.
That's right, man. To Jake's point, man, about Bobo being in his bag today, one thing he did last year, he tried to call a lot of Todd Monken plays to kind of ease the offense into transition, but he wanted to put his spin on some of that stuff today, and I think we kind of seen that when he adjusted to Clemson's defense. I think they just a little bit about Clemson's defense plays a lot of aggressive man-to-man. I mean, Wes Goodwin is Brent Venables' disciple, so he likes to pressure a lot and play a lot of man coverage, but today he kind of caught the Dogs by surprise to start the game off, playing more zone than we accounted for. So I think that went into some of the run plays. Not to mention Branson Robinson just isn't an outside run kind of guy. He needs to get downhill. But Mike Bobo quickly adjusted, and we saw that in the second half, man. Shout out to the Dogs. I still got Clemson winning the ACC. They don't have to play Georgia in the ACC. They don't have to play Miami in the regular season. But to Jason's point, when we talked about the ACC, he did call NC State as one of the potential contenders. Clemson got them in about 3 or 4 weeks. So that's when we're going to get to see what they really about. I think Clemson also misses Georgia Tech. I can't believe I just said that, but they missed Georgia Tech. They don't have to play Georgia Tech this year. Wow. So just going with the schedule, you know what I'm saying, that may allow for them to do that. Miami definitely looks good. So, hey, man, shout out to the Dogs, man, holding Clemson to 42 yards rushing total in the game, man. And that's huge. I think Clemson's offensive line actually looked a little better than they did last year. In the pass game, we didn't get to Cade a lot, but in the run game, there wasn't opening holes. And I think Jake said it earlier, that D-line did, show what they were made of when it came to that run game. And that's what I like. I like that right there. We'll figure out the pass rush, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to the Dogs, man. Andrew's got to get out here too, but before he does, Penn State, West Virginia is on deck. We're gonna let you start it off, Andrews, and then you can. I know you're traveling, man. Then you can, go handle your business, dog.
So the biggest question going into this season is: did Penn State do enough to beat an Ohio State, Georgia, a top tier team? So what did they do? They got new coordinators. They got Andy Kotelnicki from Kansas. And what did he do? He pushed the field. Drew Aller threw for 3 touchdowns in the first half, and 3 of them were over 50 yards in completions. He had 7 of them the entirety of last year. It looked like a completely brand new team. In no point today, even in a hostile environment, was I completely worried. We waxed those guys. Second point, was the defense able to reload after losing people to both the transfer portal and to the NFL draft? The answer, yes. 3 fourth down stops, and we kept West Virginia in bay. At third, after a 2.5-hour delay after halftime, did the team with so much, momentum going into halftime had the ability to tap into it afterwards? The answer, yes, both on the ground and in the air. Penn State has always been held back. We are the but team. People always think Ohio State, Michigan, Gap, Penn State, right? We're always the third, we're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Sure, we would have made 6 playoffs if it was a 12-team playoff in the past 8 years, 6 of 8. And all of these people are hyping us up. For the first time in a while, I think we kind of rose to that level. If we have an offense like we saw today that rose to the occasion in a hostile environment on the road with a very favorable Big Ten schedule, we do not play Oregon or Michigan this year, we should be a playoff team. I was very pleased with what I saw today. There are very few negatives of what I saw today. Sure, obviously you get those, first game jitters. There was like this random fumble in the first 4 drives on both teams, but we settled in, and all of a sudden, a 5-star quarterback decided to stretch the field and take control of the game on 3rd and 4th downs on those money downs, also in the red zone. So if we continue to play like that, watch out.
Right. All right, man. We appreciate that, Andrew. We're gonna go ahead and let you jump off, my man. I know you got some stuff to do. You're traveling, so we'll see you next Saturday.
Thank you very
much.
Man.
We'll see you next
Absolutely.
Saturday.
Thank you, Coach I. Thank you, everybody. Follow these guys. These guys are great.
All right, man. Yeah, man. So West Virginia, I was told I was going to say this to follow up, Andrew. I was totally wrong. Penn State actually looked like a really good team today. Again, this is not normally how their offense looks. Drew Aller they actually let him throw the ball around today. And I think Jason told us they had a new OC when we did the Big Ten preview, and the OC actually trusts him a lot more
for a long time, man. He's a really good. I think he was that guy that they needed to do it. Now you had to obviously go in there and do something. I don't know if he really brought this up. Since his first start last year, Drew Aller had in his first drive in his first start, he had a 72-yard touchdown pass to I believe it was Keandre Lambert Smith, 72-yard TD pass. Since then, they had 12 pass plays over 20 yards.
Wow.
So just in the first half, they had 3 of those over 20 yards. They had 2 more that were 18 and 19 yards in the first half, 55-yard touchdown pass, 20-yard touchdown pass. I mean, they like almost blew their entire 2023 before halftime.
I was going to say, man, from watching all the football that I've watched this weekend, and I'm just talking about just this weekend specifically, the Penn State quarterback to me had the most control out of any quarterback of any offense I've seen this whole weekend. The way this kid just stood in the pocket, made every intermediate throw, made all the right reads, and I mean, he just looked perfect. In my opinion, I have never seen a Penn State quarterback play like that in a very long time. So he definitely, if I had the award to give out, he would get my award for the weekend for best player.
Save it for the tailgate ticket at the end, my guy. Save it for the tailgate ticket at the end.
He's always looked like the part, but they just had never really put an offense together to help him out. You saw it with the last guy too. I forget what his name was, but Hackenberg. They've just been bad, you know. But I would tell you that, I mean, I did believe that Colton Hickey probably go in there. It looked to me like he was able to do some things that spread the offensive out a little bit. They do some stuff with the way they like to block things to kind of give them some running lanes, but it's also going to open up some of their passing lanes as well. I think there's a reason, you know, I think the biggest thing that he got was coming from Lance Leipold, but he learned well from Lance Leipold, and they did a lot of really good things there to obviously turn Kansas from a 1-win team, 2-win team into last year they won 9, you know, and didn't really have their starting quarterback for most of that time, although Jason Bean was really good for a backup. But again, I would say that if you could do something there at Kansas, you ought to be able to do something at Penn State where you get a lot better athletes.
Right. So they opened it up, looked like Jake, and it paid off for him. Like I say, you know, I came in the game thinking West Virginia's going to do a little bit better. Now, I will say this. I was watching that game, and Garrett Green had a lot of good passes. I don't know if they got the receivers to hang with people, man, because these dudes was dropping balls like, and no diddy, left and right. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, your receivers got to help your quarterback out, Jake. Your take on the Penn State WVU game, man.
Yeah, no, you know, I'll say this is like Penn State, you know, we want to see with Penn State, would they break that ceiling, right? Would they be a different team than what they've opened up and always shown, right? We always know they've been a tough team. They've been like a ground and pound team. They've had a pretty decent defense depending on the year. Well, today they you know, West Virginia is they're not like some joke. Right. They have players in place. They have some things in place. They can be pretty decent. Now, they're still a ways away. We kind of saw that today. But Penn State was very dominant the entire game. They dominated the entire game, whether or not, you know, they were doing everything perfect. They dominated the game, and you could see it in the way they were playing, right? I mean, they hold West Virginia, 85 yards? They forced 3 turnovers? Like, I mean, that alone, if you're, again, it just repeats this for this year, especially going in this 12-team playoff, you have to be able to play really good defense, solid defense. You need to get turnovers. You need to be able to stop the run, right? And most of all, though, you need to complement that with an offense that is able to put up points. Not just 25 points, not just 24 points, but like you need to get into the 30s at minimum. We saw that today with what they did. We saw that with what, you know, Drew Aller was able to do, you know, throw in 216 yards, 3 touchdowns. So yeah, it wasn't just this crazy number, but it was a good number. It was different, a little different than what we typically would see a Penn State, or what we would recognize as a Penn State, as more so we established a run, we established a run, we established a run until we're dead, right? It wasn't so much that today. They balanced the attack, they countered each other, right, with how they went about also establishing the run, but also throwing the ball. And you got to give them credit, man. Like Penn State pulled it out, and they pulled it out in a very nice, dominant fashion. So we'll see what happens going forward with them.
Right, and they don't get Michigan this year, even though the Michigan performance tonight kind of, you know what I'm saying, leaves a little bit to be desired. They get Ohio State, so we'll see what they can do building on this, man. So, hey, chat, I like it. Y'all going crazy, and I like it. I'm starring some of these comments, and once we finish the wrap up, we're definitely going to address. Y'all got some good questions and good comments, man. So keep them coming, man. Keep them coming. All right, man. Listen. On to what I think we all kind of commonly named as the hot seat bowl.
Yes.
One coach was going to be on the hot seat, and one coach was going to be good for a little while. And I think we know who's on the hot seat. I watched a little bit of his press conference. That's Billy Napier, man. Florida loses 17-41 to Miami. Shout out to my big brother, man. Diehard Miami fan. He's loving it. You know what I'm saying? They go into the swamp with another game that I was like, these are the two games that back to back that I was supremely wrong on. I just didn't believe in Cristobal that much, but those trenches look like they showed up, man. And that's what I'll say. Cam Ward, the playmaking ability to extend plays with his feet, that's going to give everybody in the ACC troubles. Now, I did see a couple of times where Florida only rushed 3, had lane rush discipline, and dropped 8. I wonder if Cam can just pick you apart if you can limit his legs. But the thing is, do they even play a team that has a defense that can do that? So he may not see that kind of team into the playoffs. But shout out to Miami Hurricanes. Shouty, what you thinking about them Canes, man?
Oh, well, well, man, I should have took that jukebox bench from all y'all guys.
You should have.
I ain't gonna beat the dead horse. I ain't gonna be the one to say I told you so, but no, I really think Miami looked good, man. It was amazing what they did, especially going into the swamp. I think they scored the most points ever scored in the swamp. And once again, I say that generally when you have two teams of similar talent, which I thought that was the case, but it obviously showed that Miami has a bit more talent. I would always go with who has the best quarterback. And clearly Miami has the best quarterback. So that's why I was heavily favoring Miami. And with that being said, I think we talked about it early. This game was very important, not so much what happens on the field, but about what's going to happen with the coaches and the coaching staff. I think this is definitely has ignited the hot seat for Napier, because a lot of things, not just the loss, it's the way that you lose.
Right. That was big. That's big.
Right.
How you lose.
Right. So with that being said, shout out to Miami for the win. Cristobal, once again, I got him at 9 to 10 wins this year. The trajectory is up.
Right. Jake, your thoughts on the Miami Hurricanes over to Florida, man?
Well, yeah, I was dramatically wrong. Man, dude, I was so wrong. I'll tell you this. I really thought I really felt it like that Florida maybe was trending in this direction. They had kind of put some things together that they could, but man, at the end of the day, the discipline wasn't there. A lot of mistakes and errors. It didn't feel like it had really the attitude that they needed to hey, it's us versus the world attitude. And it wasn't there. Whereas in Miami came in acting like the U, what the U is known for. They had some swag, right? They had a quarterback who was putting the ball wherever he wanted to put it. And I'll be honest with you. We said if Cristobal could get this put together and Ward is that guy, then they are going to be a dangerous team. And on top of that defense, man, Jason Taylor has said the right things to that defensive line because they look good. They do look good.
Baines even went out with an injury and they still look good.
100%. So it was impressive. man, shout out to Miami, because I think if they continue this trend and they gain that momentum, they're going to be the real deal. So
Right. Sooner in Texas, I just want to say that is funny. My brother's been diehard Miami for a long time. Jason's, I think he may have been the first one this summer when we started the Saturday Night Snap Count conference previews to call this the hot seat bowl, or at least something to that effect.
The barbecue bowl or something. It's got to be something. But look, and I get it. I like the way that Cam looked as well as anybody else did. I think he looked really good. Their running game looked good. Their defense looked really good. Wake me up when they beat somebody that's good, a legitimate football team like Wake Forest or Virginia.
Not to spit on Florida. Hey, spit away.
I am spitting on Florida with that. No, man, I'm just busting chops. But really, look, it's not about talent. We know that it's not about talent. We know that they've had talent. Now, they haven't had a quarterback like what they had. I think that against a lot of teams, though, some of the throws that you saw Cam making, sidearm throws, little weird, trying to, hop it here, hop it there. It was, you probably don't get away with that crap if you get up against, say, Clemson's defense or, some of these other teams. Now, do I think they're dangerous? Hell yes, I think they're dangerous. Mm-hmm. I do. But we have seen them lose a game that all they had to do was take a knee to. So I don't feel like it's out of the realm of possibility that they could screw this thing up, even with the best team. So, and again, and I do think that, I got to tell you, I was probably wrong about most of this game for probably the last 6 months, because I figured that I was saying that Florida was going to win the game. I really did think they would, right?
Right.
I did say that. And I thought that no matter what, you're probably going to see Billy last. I don't know that he lasts till tomorrow.
Ooh.
If they don't jettison his ass into an actual swamp tonight, it'll be surprising.
Right.
One thing I will say, if you're going to win 5 or 6 games, I'm going to win it with that young kid. I'm going to play the young kid. What's the name?
DJ Lagway.
Yeah, you might want to play him.
You got to play from here on out. The other guy's done.
Right. He did. Listen, and not for nothing. I know the game was out of hand, but Miami still had their first team defense in when DJ Lagway got in the game. And that second drive, DJ Lagway did. Listen, man, sometimes you need to change that leader, that signal caller to spark something. We saw it in 2017 with Georgia. I mean, when Eason goes out against App State, we couldn't move the ball the first 3 drives against App State. He goes out. Mm-hmm. Jake Fromm, not to say he was, DJ Lagway by any means, but hey, sparked the offense. And I mean, I'm with y'all. I think DJ Lagway definitely sparked the offense. I still like Graham Mertz, but I don't know how many weapons he has. But something about DJ Lagway being the signal caller definitely had them looking a little.
He brings more. He brings more. He just brings more. His throwing talent. He made different throws, more throws, and plus his leg. I mean, he opens up your offense.
Right.
He lets you run everything.
Right. And I think, with this game, even with the Dogs and Clemson, with all the games we saw this week 1, what we can say is we saw some good stuff and some bad stuff. But after week 1, we don't know if Miami's that good or if Florida's that bad or a little bit of both. Because if Florida is that bad, I think to Jason's point, I don't know if Billy makes it very far, because it doesn't get any easier, fellas. Florida, we talked about the schedule ad nauseum, mentioned it this morning, but listen, it doesn't get any better for Florida. Not to say everybody's a Miami, but the things that I saw today, man, like I say, I think Trey Wilson on offense is a good receiver. I think Montrell Johnson is a good running back, but where are the rest of the weapons? You know what I'm saying? DJ Lagway, like to Shawty's point, because he opens up the offense, he may need to be the guy, because he adds that element of run with his legs as well. So Florida definitely got some film study to do tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Got out of here fast, man. Right. Out of
right. I thought at least like in the beginning, I'm like, okay, they gonna make a run here and then Miami pull away, but nah, Miami just kept the pedal to the metal, dog, and did them in. It looked bad. It looked real bad, man. So shout out to the Miami Hurricanes for getting that dub. In the swamp, nonetheless, in the swamp. So now, man, Virginia Tech and Vandy. I think we all had Virginia Tech winning this game. Vandy jumped out on them 17-0. Now, Virginia Tech settled in, came back, ended up taking the lead. I want to say it was 24 to 20. 24 to 20, and then Vandy ends up beating them in overtime, 34 to 27. Jake, Vandy,
Yeah,
bowling this year?
dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Vanderbilt, like, whoa. I thought it's funny because we were on breakfast tailgate this morning. What I say? I said, no way, no way. I said Virginia Tech's winning it. Vanderbilt, man. Okay, hey. What's up, smart kids? You guys are going to show up and play some football, man. Like, good for you guys. Like, that's awesome, man. These 4.0 nerds, like, let's go. Like, I'm just kidding, man. I love it. I think it's cool. I had actually a good buddy who played center at Vanderbilt. But, I'll tell you this.
Smarter kid than he was good at football.
Yeah, the guy's probably making a whole bunch of money. I mean, he was
money. Yeah, no doubt.
Shout out to Ben for keeping the GPA up.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's all about that 4.5. But I'll tell you this is Vanderbilt was impressive today. They came out, they were organized, they're disciplined, they played good football. I think the biggest thing, Vanderbilt to play against a Virginia Tech team that was considered to be very, very talented, considered to be a strong team with a lot of senior leadership, to have a lot of productivity coming back and do what they did. You got to give all props to Vanderbilt. I was very impressed. Do they go bowling this season? I don't necessarily see that. I think the SEC is still very, very difficult to win in. Now, I'm not trying to downplay Virginia Tech, but maybe Virginia Tech just not there yet.
Right. Listen, man, I'm gonna jump in here and steal a little bit of Jason's thunder, man. Diego Pavia, man, remember the name. He is listen, man, he used to play at New Mexico, where Jason got his undergrad, man. Hey, listen, remember the name. Remember the name, Diego Pavia. He went into Auburn last year and stunned the Tigers. He's not new to this thing, man. He just he's not the most physically imposing quarterback, but the dude he's a playmaker, he's a gamer. He showed up. Vandy got it done, man. He's definitely a gamer, man. Shouty, Virginia Tech loses to Vandy, and Virginia Tech, I still say they could make a little noise. Again, not making it to the ACC championship, but make a noise and spoil some people's season.
Well, I will say this, man. To your guys' point, that the quarterback that Vandy has, his athleticism definitely caused Vitek some problems. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and be honest with you. Vitek they are the better team.
Right.
Vanderbilt just happened to be better on this day, but Vitek is the better team. I think Vitek, has a chance to bounce back and correct some things. But I will say Vanderbilt was also the much better coach team today.
Good point.
I mean, they were just better coach. I mean, they just out coached those guys. Only reason Vitek was able to stay in the game because they were just a better team. Vanderbilt beat them in all three phases of the game. Offense, defense, and their special team is where won the game. They had a chance to win in regulation, and the guy missed, I think, a 48-yard, 43-yard or something like that. So once again, just shout out to Vanderbilt, and I think I said in the comments, trust me, the more games they win, the lower that GPA is going down, because clearly they ain't getting the same place.
It tanked the second that Diego Pavia got to town, brother. It tanked the second he got to town.
That's right. That's right.
NMSU is not Harvard. Just saying.
Go ahead and put a ball on that game for us, Jason. Since Diego Pavia, you and the brethren.
love me some Diego Pavia, man. He's a fellow alumnus for my undergrad degree there at New Mexico State. But look, man, it didn't take much to get in. I'm just gonna say it. Didn't take much to get in. So no, he's a great. But hey, we saw it in the Auburn game last year. The dude's a gamer. The dude is a gamer. He gets out there, balls out, and look, they got Jerry Keel on that team. And what's the name of that offensive coordinator? He's the biggest piece to the whole thing. They might not hurt themselves to keep him around if they do decide to fire Clark Lee, because I'm trying to remember his name. He was the OC at New Mexico State last year.
I was about to say they kept doing. I didn't have the volume up, but they kept doing spotlights on him during the game. I kept seeing them show him on screen, but I don't remember what his name was. I think he might have played at Vandy or something like that. It
was.
But
Tim Beck. That's okay. I should have known that anyway. Tim Beck, yeah, he's an up and coming guy. He and Jerry Keel. Everybody kind of knows who Jerry Keel is. He's been big time assistant for a long time. He was at Minnesota. He's had a lot of health issues that kind of hurt his upward trajectory when it came to head coaching. A lot of people probably remember from the TCU SMU fight a couple of years ago, and he's the one of the coaches that got like beat the crap by his own players in the fight trying to break it up. But look, I mean, he went to back-to-back bowl games. I mean, they gave Liberty all they could handle last year in the game that they played against them in that Sun Belt Championship game. So, look, I like what Diego does. I mean, you can't expect a ton out of Vandy either way, but Tim Beck is a real deal coach. I think that was important for them to have somebody that kind of had an idea what to do on offense with not guys that are the best athletes. Because if you're going by athletes, you're never going to win at Vandy. It's just not going to happen. So you need to get somebody in there that can put some kind of an offense together that can win, and a gamer quarterback like they brought with them. So, hey, good for them, man. But yeah, that GPA probably took a little bit of a hit there today, Shawty. I think you're right.
Right. To Shawty's point, man, Clark Lee came in last year and he had a different mindset. He didn't want to take that Vandy is the GPA, holder of the SEC and that kind of thing. He said he don't want people to talk like that about Vandy. So I think it starts with the mindset from the top and it filters down. Again, not projected
right
to get
guy,
to a bowl
Coach.
game. Right, not projected, and not for nothing. Clark Lee is a Vandy alum, so he actually has a little bit of. But he got a little of that black and gold pride, Commodore pride in him, so he don't want Vandy to be the laughing stock anymore, man. But
Can I throw a quick hot take?
Right. So Virginia Tech, to your point, is the better team, but I thought today Vandy was the better coach team. I think Brent Pry has some questions to answer with that Virginia Tech team starting out so slow. Go ahead, Shawty.
I was just gonna say, and I'm just throwing this out there just to, mess with Stat Guy since he ain't here. Kind of to my point about once you get the right guy, how everything can change. Now, what if Vanderbilt win more games with South Carolina excuse?
Hey, big facts. And man, Stat talked in the text and he kind of said the same thing. He said, man, we just the bad news bears, man. He said we can't have nothing nice in Columbia.
Can I ask you guys?
Shout out to the Stat Guy, man. Shout out to the Stat Guy. What's up?
I gotta ask you guys, how can this be? I was looking back to Wikipedia at all the coaches. Right. I mean, their tombstones all say like 2 games below 500. Had he lost this one today, it's 20 and 19. How can he not be on the hot seat at all?
Well, I can tell you from the South Carolina faithful and the people who control the money, they like Beamer's energy. They like his recruiting prowess, considering the people that he's going against. I mean, he's directly recruiting against Georgia and Clemson because of the proximity. The class that they just brought in 2024, that's why Stat Guy always says 2025, because that's kind of, I'm not saying they told him verbatim, but they brought in like 5 really good offensive linemen for South Carolina standards. And all these guys that we're seeing are young, like the Lenora Sellers, the Nick Harbors, the Mazio Bennett Jr., all of those guys will be second and third year players. So to your point, 2025, if they don't go 7 wins or more, then yeah, for sure. But this year, I'm not saying they throwing the year away, but the people who hold the decisions kind of know it's first year quarterback. That's the only reason. It's different expectations too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come on, like Mike Bobo and Will Muschamp didn't look good in Columbia, and I think that was a forced hand type of firing.
Should Vandy have higher expectations?
No. But what that has, no, I'm just saying, but that has nothing to do with it. Clark Lee's in the second year.
No. I'm just saying when you're talking about it's all about expectations. I thought you were saying South Carolina kind of gives Beamer a slide because of their mediocre expectations. I'm just saying, I was saying Vanderbilt should have that same expectation, but it seemed like they expect more.
Well, I think Clark Lee came in. That's the difference in who's the better coach. Not like what you're talking about is who's the better coach and a better coaching mindset. You're not talking Vandy expectations ain't changed. Clark Lee's expectations. I'm talking about the people surrounding South Carolina's program. I've never thought Beamer was a good head coach. I think he's a good recruiter. He's a good energy guy, and he's a good special teams guy. But I'm talking about around it. Like if Clark Lee doesn't win another game all year, Vandy ain't gonna be talking. Vandy ain't gonna be talking about firing him. That's the expectations from around the program. I don't think that's changed. I think Clark Lee's mindset has changed. So that's two. We talking about two different things. I'm talking about the people's expectation that controls who gets fired, who doesn't get fired, that type of thing. That's what I'm saying. Listen, I'm not saying you can explain it. I mean, I understand it. I'm just telling you
No, I get it. No, I get it.
how it is in Columbia, dog. I'm just saying that's just what it is, man. But to y'all point, I'm with all y'all. Like, if it was me, I'm not saying I would have let Beamer go last year or nothing like that. But we be having to talk about some things.
They like soggy sandwiches down there, according to Shoggy. Soggy
So
sandwiches.
hey, it is what it is, man. Now the game we just got finished watching, man. Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Notre Dame pulls out the win, 23-13. I did pick Notre Dame to win this game. Again, I think Elko. Now, Jason put me on something earlier this year that I really didn't know until I took a look at it. He said, no matter who's at the helm in College Station, it's pretty much the same story. Regardless of how it looks, it turns out to be 8 or 9 wins at best. I checked the history and I'm like, it didn't matter who the coach was. Now, I will say this. It's going to take Elko a little while to get his culture, his style, all of that stuff in. I think we could, I think he's going to do decent. I don't know overall if he's going to do better than those other coaches because, again, the history says it doesn't matter who's calling the plays. But today, Freeman got the win, 23-13. Shout out to Notre Dame. Shout out to Coach Roybo. I don't know if he's hanging with us anymore. I think he might be celebrating.
He's probably having a few.
I don't know why.
He's probably having a few. Yeah.
Well, shout out on that note. I'm gonna let you start, dog. What what you got, dog?
Hey man, that was torture. I mean, that was when you're talking about on paper, the number 7 ranked team playing a number 20 team. That's just not what I saw. Now I will say both defenses played very good football, but from the quarterback position, both of those guys. Listen, as good as Notre Dame is, and as far as they could go, their quarterback is going to be where it holds them back. I think I mentioned to somebody earlier, might have been early on this call. He does nothing exceptional. It's almost like he's a game manager, and that's not what you're going to need to go deep into the playoff and possibly play for a national championship. And for what I've seen from Texas A&M, the one thing I can say is I like what I saw. I saw a lot of improvement. It's like a better team, a better coach team, more disciplined team. Now you can kind of see the athletes around them playing. And considering how they played against the number 17, I think they looking pretty good. But Notre Dame might have some problems, man. They got to get some things done on offense because that defense is not going to be able to hold them the whole year playing against stiffer competition.
I'm definitely agreeing with that. Jake, Notre Dame and the Aggies, man, good defense or bad offense?
Well, I think that's the interesting thing, right? Is like I think the defense in general, I think was good. I think the defense stepped up and played exactly what you wanted Notre Dame to do. But on the offensive side, you sit there, and this was an interesting thing where I don't feel like they were necessarily bad. I think again, you had Elko who knows Riley's tendencies. Like, I mean, I think this was a very unique battle, right? Like, I think, you had Riley who knows tendencies of the defense that Elko is going to run. He's a defensive-minded coach. And you had Elko who knew the tendencies of Riley and figured out a way to try to figure out a way to kind of bottleneck him, right? Like put him into a position where he didn't really couldn't utilize some of his strengths. With that being said, I think Notre Dame proved one thing that we've been waiting to see, and it's do you have the grit in these tough games to get through them, right? Because this was a battle back and forth, right? Like it really was. And when we saw that last season, they didn't necessarily have that. They ran into some issues with that last. We saw that at Ohio State, right, game. But I'll tell you this year, not saying like Texas A&M's Ohio State, but at the same time to open up game one in such a battle, such adversity, you face that and you overcome that, it really sets you up for a lot of success going forward. So, man, I'll tell you, I think that Notre Dame they are going to be a very good team, and I think they're just going to continue to build, and they have the schedule to do it too. So
Right. Somebody here said, before I let Jason jump in, somebody said their cupcake schedule going forward. This might have been that one test they needed to get out of the way. I think they play USC, of course. That'll be a different type of test. But Jason, your thoughts on Notre Dame and Texas A&M, man? It was kind of a snooze fest, to be honest with you. Oh, unmute yourself, dog.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Gotta unmute myself to talk.
Hey, you was giving some good analysis.
I was talking it up. No, listen. I think early on, the one thing I would say is that you can say what you want about how the offense looked or whatever with Notre Dame. That defense just pretty much broke it off from Connor Weigman. He had 100 yards passing at the 145 mark of the fourth quarter. Turned him over quite a few times. What I would say is that, yes, the problem with Notre Dame has been offensive and been able to kind of get the scores that they needed when they needed them. Now, with Mike Denbrock, I think that they got the right guy coming back in here. Obviously, he turned things around for Jaden Gibson last year, or Jaden, the Heisman Trophy winner.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
For Jaden Daniels, I mean, he had it turned around there, and look at what they did offensively the last few years. I would tell you that I think that that's probably what you get more and more of as it goes on. We know that Riley Leonard really wasn't available for the spring. He's just had this early part of, fall camp to kind of get used to what's going on with this new offense. And then I would also say with Elko kind of knowing who he is and what he does, made it harder. But to me, I think that Notre Dame, they play with the right kind of physicality. They had times that they ran the ball super well. You saw some flashes from Riley Leonard that tells you, okay, he can run a little bit, he can throw a little bit. If they can get him doing things the way that Denbrock likes it, they're going to be okay. And again, they don't exactly play murderer's row, folks. They don't really have another big.
But it's about them going deep in the playoffs or contending for a national championship. I don't think the regular season is the issue.
I would agree with that, but you got to get there first.
True.
You got to get there first. And they literally they go through at one point in the year they're going to have 8 straight home games. 8 straight.
Right.
So it does it. One of the games that we thought was going to probably be a tough game. Do you think Florida State's going to be that good on the road? I have a hard time believing that, and especially when it comes to physicality. Good luck. Good luck. They're really good on both sides. Their defensive line is nasty. Their offensive line, yeah, it's young, but they opened up some big holes tonight. I think that once they kind of learned how to actually win one of these close ones, because they've been in a lot of close ones the last few years, and they hadn't won any of them. Now, all of a sudden, they win one. That can kind of, you guys know, you guys that have played in college football, it takes that one time to do something, and then it kind of flips the script for you. You still have to go out there and do it, but it's not like they're going to be super challenged. And if they can get the right kind of look, if they go out there and go undefeated or 11-1, don't you think they probably get the 5 seed? It was built for them.
Listen, I don't disagree, man. I thought coming into the year that Notre Dame was going to be in the playoffs. I'm not saying pencil them in, but the offense, I don't know, between them and Texas A&M, somebody said it earlier in the comments, like they looked like they was calling from the same playbook. It definitely was not exciting, to say the least. Definitely not exciting. Again, shout out to Coach Roybal and his Fighting Irish, man. But y'all already know Coach Roybal just doesn't give a, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Coach Roybal, man.
It's close as a hostile environment.
Oh man, hey, shout out to Coach, man. Hey man, but listen,
we appreciate that aren't on the road though. That's
right. Somebody said, yeah, aren't on the road, and I think that's what he was saying. Some of those are neutral, but to Jason's point, like they're not in hostile.
There's no true road games for 8 straight freaking trips for
that's
8
right,
straight games
right,
at
man.
one point.
Hey man, in the comments, man, we appreciate y'all been rocking with us, man. Let's get to some of these comments, man. Corrections, if you still in here. Corrections said Gabriel was 40 for 47, 372 yards, 2 TDs. He's having a good night. I think he's
How many
throwing the
yards?
ball a lot to be playing against Idaho, but I didn't see the game, all of it anyway. So I'm assuming, and I know you shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming a lot of those were pop passes and screens because 40 for 40, throwing the ball 47 against the Idaho team, if there are actual passes beyond the line of scrimmage.
Those are 9.3 yards per.
Yeah, if you're under 10 yards, if you're under 10 yards of completion, you're dinking and dunking.
Right, dinking and dunking. But what I'm saying is if those wasn't pop passes and wide receiver screens, that's kind of alarming to me because where was the run game against Idaho? I mean, this is Idaho we're talking about here. Why is he throwing? I don't even care if he is, like if he had 600 yards, why is he throwing the ball 47 times against Idaho? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Heisman Trophy, trying to get the Heisman, coach.
It's trying to get that Heisman, man. Maybe so. I don't know. That's kind of alarming. Rocky was in here earlier. I don't know if you're still here. He says nobody's giving Miami credit. I think some of us did say Miami played good. Cam Ward, especially. The trenches look good. I'll say that. Anybody else want to say? Anybody want to say?
I said they on their way to 9 or 10 game win season.
Right.
Yep.
I think we gave some trade. When we first started talking about it, listen, I think it's more glaring. While Miami was good, it's more glaring that Florida was bad, and I think it's the same thing. Jason kind of mentioned it earlier. With Clemson, Georgia. I think the thing is Georgia did look good, but everybody expected Georgia to look good, but Clemson. I think it's more glaring that Clemson's offense was bad. So I think that's kind of a fair point to make, Rocky. What we was trying to give him a little love. Red Shoe says thoughts on Cam Ward today. Winning the Gainesville, feed Gator to the Gators. I think Cam Ward.
Shout out to Red Shoe, that's my brother.
Okay, shout out to Red Shoes.
Hey,
listen, what I'll say, and I'll let the panel get in on this too. I like Cam Ward. I think we all liked him what we saw last year. I still think if there's a defense, and I don't know if there's a defense on that schedule that they play that can actually contain him in the pocket. If you can take it away, I want to see him just beat somebody with his arm. Now he made some plays, extending plays outside the pocket with his arm, but if somebody could corral him and keep him in the pocket, I'm interested to see. I'm not saying he can't. I'm interested to see if he could just beat you with his arm, but maybe he doesn't even get to that point. Shawty, Cam Ward, thoughts on him?
Oh yeah, I thought Cam did exactly what we thought he would do. To your question though, I think that's a very good question. Me personally, I wouldn't rush the guy. I would just keep it at level, just keep him in the pocket. Don't never let him get, past your ear hole. That's how I would play defense against him and make him throw the ball. To your point, we don't know if he can do that yet. He has some funny delivery, the way he delivers the ball is almost
talked about that.
I don't think a lot of guys in the NFL are gonna like that. He's gonna have to clean that up. But he is in college right now. But other than that, it's just about winning, baby. So right now, do your thing, Cam.
Right. Jake, your thoughts on Cam Ward?
Man, Cam is exactly who I think who I thought he was. You know what I'm saying? Like he came out, we saw that at WSU. There's some things that he could have done to maybe be a little better here and there, but I mean, he really showed out at WSU. And this year, I mean, you can see he's elevated his game. He's definitely looking at not just working out of the shotgun too. I think that's another big thing we saw today. Because Cam was able to show his versatility of working out of different sets, and not just in these spread massive formations, but in these in the 12 personnel and 11 personnel, right? In your empty backfield. Like, I mean, Cam started to show exactly what he needs to show to be a top draft pick for this next season. So,
I'm with that right now.
Nothing else to make you play 11 on 11.
Right. Jason, Cam Ward, impressed?
I was impressed. I think that he does a few things that you kind of against better teams. As I said, I think you probably don't get away with some of the things that he did, sidearm throws and just not great fundamentals and stuff like that. But the dude's electric, man. He can get out of harm's way. He can make every throw pretty much. He seems to be a leader. And it seemed like when he made a mistake, he didn't back it up with another mistake. And that's what you want out of your quarterback. You don't want them to be afraid to go out there and make mistakes, but you don't want them to compound mistakes by making more. I think he looked good, man. Hey, look, for what it's worth, as much as I've kind of given Mario a bunch of shit, they looked good. And the running back helped that situation out, right? I think their running back situation probably wasn't that great either. So it really where they even lost their best defensive guy early in the game too. And
Bain. Yeah, Bain.
Yeah, Bain. Yes, that's who I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come back in. I don't believe that. I know that. I remember. I don't think he came back in.
I got to go back and watch the end of the third and the fourth. I don't think he did, but they didn't miss a beat. You know, not for nothing. I don't know if that's more testament to Florida's offensive line or, you know, Mario and the defensive line with Jason Taylor down there. But Sooner in Texas says Cam would be a great player if he was played for anybody but Miami. You don't like Miami, Sooner in Texas.
For whatever reason, they don't. I would say this about. I think that was the other thing is Mario does know. I mean, he's from big time offensive lines. I mean, whenever he was there, that's what they did. And I remember hearing one of the announcers was saying that early on. He goes, "It feels like this is a time that Mario wants his team to win on the offensive line, take over the game right here, run, you know, get this first down, and just kind of dominate at this point." There were times you kind of saw them do that. Look, man, they dominated in every kind of facet. But I think Cam's good. I think he's everything that he's been billed to be. I mean, he was winning at Washington State, man.
Right.
You know, he's definitely a good player. He's definitely a good player.
Right. So look, man, another question Richard Shear asked earlier in the when we were talking about Georgia and Clemson. Says, which team do you guys think the most impressive this weekend besides Georgia? I'm gonna go last. Anybody want to jump out there and take this one first? I got to think about this for a minute because there was some people, and this is the problem for me. There were some people that did exactly what I thought they were gonna do. That's why. If God, that's gonna be a hard one. Shaw, you got somebody off the top of your head, Jake? Somebody? I don't have. I gotta think about that one. Go ahead, Jake.
Nah, I think for me, I would say, from an impressive standpoint, I would say Alabama. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, now granted, it wasn't Clemson that they were playing.
Yeah, you
so
expected them to beat up on.
That's all right. Sit there.
Kentucky.
What now?
Shaw, you kind of break it up.
My bad. I know you expected Alabama to beat up on them, though, right?
Would I say Alabama would have beat up on them?
No, he said
would have or would not. I can't. It's breaking up a bit.
Yeah. Like it's like your voice is speeded up or something because of the connection.
Well,
but he said, but you expected. He said you expected them to beat up on Western Kentucky, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I did, but not to the extent of what they did. I mean, they could have at the end of the game. They were like, you know, at the 7-yard line. If they really wanted to, they could have just ran it and you'd have put up 70 points to 70-0. This Western Kentucky team is used to scoring points. The type of offense that they run is used to that. Now, they were supposed to have a lot of weapons. They have a bunch of seniors and juniors starting, and defensively, they brought the pressure. Their defensive coordinator did a good job. Definitely created some unique looks. But at the same time, to see how much improvement there is that Bama can improve on and still put up that many points, you have to say that's extremely impressive, right? I mean, granted, okay, it's Western Kentucky, fair enough, but they're not some slouch BS team either. But that's where you can look at, though, Georgia. That's why I think I am so high on Georgia, is because Georgia kind of did that basically to Clemson, and Clemson's that's a decent foe. You know what I'm saying? So the only other team I would say was pretty impressive is I think overall I know not everyone liked this, but you have to give it to Texas a little bit, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Colorado State.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, still, Texas put together a complete game. There's things that they did on defense that looked pretty decent. You know, like, I mean, Oklahoma looked great too. They just had some concerns in the offensive line, but Texas put together a pretty.
I wouldn't bring up Oklahoma. It's freaking Temple, dude. It's freaking Temple.
I mean,
I know what the
I know, but not everyone's playing everybody that's like fucking Clemson. You know, oops, sorry guys, just Clemson. So you know what I mean, but.
Right.
So you have to say, like, Texas did a, you know, there's a lot of questions on defense. They showed some things that look good. So
Bevo
I don't know.
is
That would
giving
be where I go.
Bevo and Benji's giving you
Georgia
a
take
hard
over Florida
time
State,
saying-
man.
Say again.
So Shorty, I'm
Georgia
telling
take
you,
over
your
Florida
audio is
Hey, my bad. I don't know where doing
Georgia
nobody
take
got it.
over Florida. Yeah.
Yeah.
You like you an auctioneer. It's going real fast. But he said, but Georgia take over Florida State definitely was impressive. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one, Shorty. Jason, outside of Georgia, Richard Shearer says who was the most impressive team this weekend, and you can include, like I say, Georgia Tech because we didn't really talk about that. You know, like in week 0, that type of thing.
I mean, I guess because there's been so much questions about it, and a lot of people are picking West Virginia the whole time. I mean, you have to say that what Penn State came out and did, and the way that they threw the ball around, they had more explosive plays in the first half than for most of the season last year.
Right.
You know, to go out and win 34-12 in a hostile environment like it is there. Now, again, I'll be the first to tell you that I don't think much of West Virginia like everybody else does. They didn't win over a winning team all of last year. So, as much as a lot of people like them, but I think it's more about what Penn State did because of the fact that, look, that's been their kind of biggest problem the last couple of years. Of the reason that they're not able to compete in a game against Ohio State or even even obviously a Michigan team is going to try to turn it into a game where basically they were having to play the same type of game plan that Michigan was going to play, and nobody's going to beat them in that game plan. You go in there and try to, it's like trying to out Georgia. You're just not going to do it. So, you know, it's one of those things that I've felt like for them to be able to truly compete in this league, and that includes with your Oregons, I'll say Oregons for right now from the West Coast, you're going to have some offense out there. You're going to have to be able to put some offense up there. And I don't know that they, even with the quarterback that looks the part, were capable of doing that before Andy Koltenicky got to town. It's 1 week, but it was impressive.
Yeah. Listen, man, I'm going to go with 2. I'm going to go with Miami. I think Miami was impressive the way they dominated Florida, and it's not just because
I figured you would go to, so I went the other way.
Yeah, so I mean, because not just because I picked Florida, but because they dominated them in the swamp on the road. They dominated them like not for nothing. Cam Ward is still learning his weapons. You know what I'm saying? This is his first year with these guys, and we didn't listen. Mario Cristobal hasn't had explosive offenses. He's won a lot of games, but I don't know about explosive offenses. And today their offense did. It could be because Florida looked a little bad. I don't know, but they did look at explosive today. So, and Cam Ward changes that. Also, yes. Vanderbilt. Nobody had Vanderbilt winning on their bingo card outside of the Commodores. I don't care if you had it as a close game or a blowout. Nobody had that. And I'm not saying that because I think Virginia Tech's just that good. I think they're much improved, but they brought back 22 starters. And Vandy came out and not just beating them. I know they beat them in overtime, but they jumped on them 17-0, dog.
Another one of those dark horse ACC picks, man. Everybody's trying to jump on Virginia Tech. And Vandy whooped that ass. They
did. They did that, man. So it says, Coach I, that apple doesn't fall far from your sibling. You talking about the Miami? Oh yeah. I'm not saying that just because my brother likes Miami. Listen, man, I definitely was a little bit more impressed with Miami coming to after today
what John said.
than coming in. So Dabo continues to fall further behind as he refuses to basically use the transfer portal. Listen, that's one of the problems they definitely got. They got a lot more problems, but they got a lot of problems on that offensive side of the ball.
They got
in my personal,
their defense is not their problem. I know that. I know their defense is not their problem. So
before I don't want you guys to fall out on me, man. Tailgate ticket, man. Let's talk about just who would you give the tailgate ticket to? Tailgate tickets, somebody. What we do, we give it's kind of like the helmet sticker. We pick a guy or a side of the ball or a team altogether that you want to give the helmet ticket to. And shout out to Mike Dub, man. Mike Dub,
let me give it out first.
Oh, Mike Dubs, come on, don't take Mike Dubs, dog. He said he already had his tailgate ticket. He was giving it to the Oklahoma defense.
Oh, okay. No,
Okay,
that's fine.
Mike
That's not who I
Wilkinson.
was gonna give.
Okay, Sooner Legends podcast. I'll let you go first. Sooner Legends podcast. Shout out to my guy Mike Dub, man. He held on long as he could. He said he was giving his tailgate ticket to the Oklahoma defense for the 3 points given up to Temple. Go ahead, Jason. Who you giving your tailgate ticket to?
Hey, man, my freaking fellow Aggie, New Mexico State, Diego Pavia.
Shout out to
My
Diego,
man.
baby.
Give me some love, man. Give me some love, the alumni. Come on.
I like it. Hey, Diego Pavia. Remember the name, baby. Remember the name.
Pavia,
Jake,
baby.
tailgate ticket. Who you giving it to this week, man?
Man, it's so tough. It's so tough because now we look at this and we look at like who we all have, and there's still some games being played right now, man. You might be giving a tailgate ticket to New Mexico here shortly, but I'll tell you, man, like I think for me, if I look at it and look at over what we've covered, I'm going to give my tailgate ticket to Iowa. Iowa's offense for putting up over 40 points, right? Granted, it is versus Illinois State. They shut them out 40-0. They show they have an offense this year. I will be honest with you. I'll be honest with you right here. If Iowa shows that they have an offense this year, be careful.
Remember, I told you this.
Everybody needs to be
We were
careful.
both saying, we were talking about this on my show, that we were saying, look, Iowa's going to make a run at the playoff. They don't have a schedule to speak of. They play Ohio State and almost nobody else.
Right. Listen, that defense did what it did today, like we always do. Again, it was Illinois State, but that's just Iowa's defense, man. You know what I'm saying? My tailgate ticket goes to Malachi Starks, not just for the interception, but because it was in the first game, in the bins, exactly like he gave it to us, against Oregon in 2022, just on the opposite side of the field. Shout out to whoever made the cut up on Twitter showing both interceptions side by side. I try to tell people, man, there's a lot of good safeties out there. No safety plays in coverage like Malachi. Malachi ended up having to go to the strong safety nickel spot tonight because of an injury to our starting nickel. He didn't even play tonight. We started him out at the safety spot, and then we ended up putting him in putting KJ Bolden. Shout out to KJ Bolden, true freshman, had a good appearance today. He played a lot more than we wanted him to have to, but due to injury, next man up. Shout out to Malachi Stark. Shout out to Mama and Papa Starks, man, on Twitter, man. They rock with your boys. So shout out.
Malachi's a bad dude, man. That interception was insanity.
Bro, what's crazy? I'm telling you, I'm about to send it to you, dog. Somebody cut up, put it side by side.
Insanity.
Hey, same exact interception he had against Oregon in 2022, just the opposite side of the field, man. It is crazy. Tailgate ticket for Stephen G goes to Brent Venables because he has turned around a Lincoln Riley defense that wasn't good to a good defense. Hey, the good tailgate ticket. Ben G says Cam Ward for making Mario look good for the first time since he's in Miami. Yeah.
That's fair.
Good pick. That is fair. Lone Wolf says Vanderbilt. Shout out to Vandy, man. Shout out to Vandy for getting the win to open the season. I don't remember the last time Vandy had a win over a Power 4 or Power 5, depending on what year you're talking about, opponent first game. Shout out to Vandy.
Love to see the one person that actually could prove that they picked Vandy before.
Right. Somebody, hey, Jason, somebody won a lot of money today because they were just crazy enough. Crazy enough to put the money on Vandy today. And John says starts with the interception. Right, man. That was an incredible interception. Let's see if anybody else got in here with some tailgate tickets. Sooner in Texas says his tailgate ticket goes to Zach Smith. He didn't miss a single field goal this week. Hey, shout out to Zach Smith.
That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal for Oklahoma the last few years.
John said he give his to Keon Saab at Bama. 2 interceptions in the first quarter. Yes, Sam. Yes, I was watching and listen, Keon. I was texting the group and I was like, might have been Jake. I was like, hey man, Sapp didn't miss a beat, man. Just carried over what he was doing at Michigan already.
Keon,
dude. Right.
Let's
see if anybody
almost
gets
had
in
3
here
picks.
with their tailgate ticket. How can you give a tailgate ticket? BNG says to a defense that gave up points. Couldn't be me. Hey man, listen. I will say this: when it comes to the fans that support the channels, dog, the Red River doesn't die regardless of what's going on.
Yeah, he can run off too. He can run off. I just got him booted again. Oh, I was trying to boot him again. He just came to your channel because I already kicked him for saying it once.
All right, we got a question from Jimmy Satterfield. Could Miami win the ACC? I think it's definitely possible that Miami could win the ACC. I think we all three think that. Not saying they are, but we need to see a little bit more. But I think from what we saw today, they're definitely in the runners. I still, when I had my two picks when we did the ACC show, I said Miami, Clemson, play for it. I still think Clemson wins. I like Clemson's defense. Miami's defense looked good today, but I like Clemson's defense a little bit more. So I'm still sticking with Clemson to win. I think they got a lot of time to figure stuff out before they play Miami, if that happens, because they don't see them in the regular season. Jake and Jason, how you feeling about Miami's chances on the ACC?
Yeah,
Again,
I
got them beat.
I think they're gonna win it.
The best teams, like Virginia and Wake Forest first. I got to see them do that, and then I'll say something. I don't care. I think they're good.
Like
I think they're good. Dude. They're good.
I think they're the team to beat in the ACC.
They should be. They should be. With their talent, they don't have an excuse not to, right, Jake?
100%, man. Like I think, like you look at them, and you, especially after today, you got to sit there and be like, you know what? I don't know. Yeah, okay, maybe Clemson tries to put up a fight, but based on what I saw in Clemson's offense today, I don't care who they're playing. They'd be playing Florida State, and they're not going to be putting up points, man. Like Clemson's offense is not there. That's not it, man. I don't know what they need to fix. I don't know what they need to do, but Clemson, there's just man, I don't know what they're going to do to remedy that, but defense is the only thing that holds Clemson in it, and that's why I think when it comes down to it, truthfully, unless something can happen with Florida State turning it around, and it could happen, but I think Miami's a team to beat. So
right. Rob077 says tailgate ticket goes to Missouri's defense for giving up 87 yards. That is a good stat, albeit Murray State. But hey, man, 87 yards. We'll take that tailgate ticket there. Rob07. Stephen G says, how does it feel to finally be in season talking and not just hopefully talking about football? It feels amazing. Saturday, listen, I know I'm gonna sleep good tonight, but I still got. I'm a junkie. I'm about to. Once we get off it, we got about 6 more minutes. Once I get off, I'm actually going to watch some of the games over again.
I'm watching Washington right now.
So you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna watch College Game Day Final. I'm gonna watch Inside College Football tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a junkie like that, dog. It's Labor Day weekend too. So tomorrow night, y'all know we got LSU USC. So listen, I'm loving these kind of weekends, man. So it definitely feels good. Jonathan says hit the like button. That's right. Listen, man, we've had people in and out. We have a lot of people today on Jason's channel, on Jake's channel, on Facebook, on Fan Addict. Y'all hit the like button, man. Help us out, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what helps the content creators, man. Clemson's defense.
We've had about 400 people watching on my channel tonight.
Hey, man, we doing that thing, man. Clemson defense better be a lot better than Miami because Klubnik ain't Ward. That is a fact. That is a fact. Jason says, if Mizzou gets the tailgate ticket, I'm burning the food. Shout out to Ben G, says he hit thumbs up on all the channels, man. That's what we like, man. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate it, man. We appreciate it, man. So, hey, man, it's been a good ride, man. The Saturday Night Snap Count continues, man. We appreciate y'all rocking with us the whole time, man. And okay, hold on. What'd you put?
He said it's gonna corporate duck. Last thing.
Okay. Say gonna give my tailgate ticket. Don't let me down. LSU. I'm gonna save here. Save it. Okay, I got you. Hey, corporate. Listen, if LSU, I'm bringing this back next weekend, one way or the other. Corporate, whether you right or you're not. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna save that for next week, dog. So shout out to Corporate Duck for getting in, man. Shout out to everybody for getting in on Set the Tone. college football on YouTube, on Facebook, man. Shout out to the Hall of Fame College Football Mafia for getting in on Facebook, on Jason's YouTube, man. Shout out to the fans and the Fan Addict getting on the Fan Addict Facebook, my Facebook, and the YouTube, man. Listen, man, we bring these content creators on because we think they got something to say that you want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Just before we get out here, Stephen G says, can the transfer portal get a tailgate ticket since the last fan base is learning the portal is the way? All right. So, man, shout out to my guys for jumping on. Shout out to young JJ Kiss. What's his name? Austin? Is that his name?
Austin Kitchen. AK
Austin Kitchen for being in the major league, man. The dude, that's big time, man. Again, that's big time. Shout out to JJ for stopping in. Shout out to Andrew. Shout out to Shawty, man. Shawty probably out in these streets that he probably manually did some stuff to his microphone so he could get out of here early, man. He probably out there in the streets, man. Shout out to Stat Guy, man. He's probably licking his wounds because it was an ugly win over ODU, even though he called it was going to be close. So I'll check on him later on, man. And my guys here just hanging with me still, Jake and Jason, man. Y'all make sure y'all get to Set the Tone, subscribe. Hall of Fame College Football, subscribe. Hall of Fame Sooners, subscribe. Make sure y'all getting over to everybody's channel and doing that, man. We're going to keep rocking every Saturday night, 10:30 Eastern time. We will be back. Make sure you catch me and Jake on the breakfast tailgate every Saturday morning. We'll be jumping out there. Make sure you get over to Jason. Check Rise and Shine College Football. Is it still Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Jason?
It will be back Monday, yes.
There it is, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Check out Jason and the Coach on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Thursday night. Tuesdays at 8:30. Respect the Hedges on Tuesday at 8:30, man. Shout out to Chris E, man, and everybody else in the chat, man. We appreciate everybody hanging with us for 2 hours, man. With that said, college football is back. Jake, give us a roll tide.
Roll Tide, everybody.
Jason, give us a. There it is, and as always, y'all already know what it is. Go Dogs.